Let's continue. The next topic is performance management. Nishya has asked, can we get the recording? Yes, all of you will get all the recordings, but we still are figuring out how to send the recordings to the students because the size of the recordings is big. Um, so, how to share with the students? We're still not sure, but yes, the basic intention of these recordings is to share with the students. I've all the recordings for all the days, but somehow I don't know how I missed this morning session. Okay, related to that, anytime if you find anything not very clear, you can approach me and then ask me to clarify that for the set of the questions which we've done in the morning slot. Right. The second part of it is anyway I'm recording. Uh, you will get all the recordings. Um, you will get all the resources. Don't worry about it. But then that let it not make you feel comfortable that yes, there is a recording. Believe me, if you are not attentive now, you will not be attentive during the um, recordings which you are playing later on. Okay, time is the criteria. Now anyway you are logged in into the account, better you listen to all the classes here, and for further reference you can use the recordings. So don't depend on the recordings completely for the preparation of the content. The next topic is about performance management. Performance management. Now, we're talking about the strategy part of it. The strategy, how to frame that, what choices do they have, what strategies should they adopt it. After that, the actual performance has to be measured. The performance, how did they perform? That has to be measured. And if there are deviations, then deviations are corrected on comparison. When the strategies which are uh, designed for the organization, the strategies which are defined for the organization, they are broken down into short-term plans. Then, whether they have actually implemented in the right sense will be measured. After measuring that, um, if there are the evaluation will be taken up. Then whether they have done according to what is prescribed to the employees of the organization. So how to measure the um, performance? So performance management is the next topic. The strategies which are designed for the organization, the plans which are laid out for the organization, now actually have to be implemented. When they are implemented, um, how to measure this performance, whether the implementation part of it, whether it is appropriate or not, to understand that um, how do we understand that, how do we evaluate that, how do we measure that is the next concept. Now for that purpose, for the performance management or the performance measurement, what are the factors to be considered? Are the factors are mentioned here as scone is about strategy which is adopted, the CSFs of the organization. We've done a class on CSFs and KPIs, so we understand what are CSFs. Okay, critical success factors of the processes. Second one, what are the objectives of the organization? Strategy is broken down into long-term goals and objectives. Long-term goals and objectives are broken down into medium-term and short-term objectives. So, what are the objectives of the organization, the nature of the business, and the environment in which it is operating? These factors would be taken into consideration. Now, once performance is measured, that will be a motivating factor to the employees of the organization, because as on account of this performance measurement evaluation, their appraisal also is dependent on that. So that will form a basis for their bonuses and rewards. Okay. Now, for the measurement of performance. there are two types of measurements which are considered: financial measures and non-financial measures. Generally, if you are expecting a theory question in the essay exam, which should be your college level exam, you can expect an answer on what are the financial measures and non-financial measures. Um, there is a model which is given by balance scorecard. There they clearly explain about what are the financial measures and what are the non-financial measures. So, in general, generic sense also, mm, the for the purpose of measurement of performance, they are classified into financial and non-financial. Financial deals with the accounting aspect. The financial issues are considered under financial measures. Non-financial, anything which is not covered under financial will become a part of the non-financial measures. Okay, what could be non-financial? So if it is not about the financial aspect talks about the sales part of it, um, the profitability, the cost control, their position, the financial position of the business in terms of what assets do they own, how do they stand in terms of the liabilities which they have to discharge, their capital structure, their position in the business, the profitability, how are they performing in their stock market. All these aspects come under or covered under financial measures. Okay. Um, if we have to talk about non-financial, what are covered under that? The quality aspect, the customer aspect, the employees aspect, the work culture aspect, um, the the methods which they have adopted, the processes which are carried on in the organization. All these things which are not connected with the financial things come under non-financial. Um, Anyway, we are going to do a model called as balance scorecard. Therefore, let's not elaborate on that. We will do that, and then I think that will give us a clearer picture about what are the financial and non-financial measures. Now, financial measures of performance, what are the advantages? It talks about they are culturally expected, linked to financial objectives. Once financial measures are used, I think um, that is that is what is generally followed for any organization to measure their performance. So the best way to measure the performance is by way of using financial measures. Therefore, across the companies, across the firms in the industry, all of them follow the same thing, so it becomes easy for comparison. So profit margin, sales revenue, turnover, these are the things which are commonly used by all the firms in the industry. Therefore, those set of variables or data is available everywhere, because that's how they measure their performance. The profitability is the criteria, so that's how they measure their performance. When they measure the performance in that aspect, then um, it is easy for comparison. Okay, it is a cheaper way to get the information because they are all accounted in the books of accounts. So just take the information from the books of accounts and then arrive at the values for financial measures. Established framework for preparation in many cases tend to focus on resource generation and so survival in the long term. Okay, since they accounts are maintained, then they have a framework wherein they can draw some information from that and then prepare the variables for the measurement purpose. Non-financial measures are not connected with financial. They are easy to understand by even the non-finance professionals. So not everybody can understand the financial aspects of the organization. So there are employees in the organization who are just laymen to the subject knowledge of finance. So then in that case, for them, instead of understanding financial measures, they rather understand the non-financial measures. So it's easy to understand for the non-financial professionals. Okay, easy to calculate. For example, if we are talking about customer, it is easy to understand the customer satisfaction score or customer feedback. That is easy for them to understand. But to calculate a turnover ratio may not be easy for them to do that. Okay, they do not understand how to read the financial statement, some of them. Okay, so but to calculate the customer satisfaction score is much easier for them, because it's all based on some ranking which is given there in the questionnaire inbuilt, and then they just have to count the number. So it is easier and to calculate and understand by non-financial professionals. Therefore, it is widely used. It doesn't get affected by inflation. Can emphasize broad spectrum of management. So, financial is a narrow version of the performance, but other aspects are there under the variables of performance measurement. So, it can emphasize broad spectrum of management, positive motivational implications. Okay. The other non-financial factors are like the safety measures which are taken in the organization. So that gives an assurance to the employee to work in the organization under safe environment. Employee motivation is another factor. So they feel motivated. Their skill development is taken care. So trainings are provided. Feedback is collected from the employees. So they understand that yes, their development is a criteria for the organization, and they feel motivated to work in such an environment. Now, how to measure the performance? We have certain models which are given. So let's learn the models first. There are three models. I do not know how much time it would take. um, at 12:40 we will see that as much as we cover, we'll finish that, and then we'll wind up in today's class. We'll continue on Monday. Monday also, I think it's a 3 hours. Friday, Saturday, I should take 5 days. So I think till Wednesday it will go on 5 hours, 3 hours a day session. Okay. Okay. The first model is given by Fitzgerald and Moon building block model to measure the performance, measurement of performance. Uh, there are three building blocks which they have used to for the for the purpose of measuring the performance. For the purpose of measuring the performance, the first building block is talks about dimensions. Dimensions. There are 6 dimensions. The 6 dimensions. The first one is about the first two things are about profit and competitiveness, and the next four quality, resource utilization, and flexibility and innovation. The next four. So the first two talk about their past performance. Okay, how much profit did they earn? What is their competitiveness? Is already something which they have already achieved, or uh, it is already measurable now. It is their past performance. How much profit was earned by them, and uh, what is their competitive stand? That is in the past, but what they would implement in the future. So the next four dimensions are related to the future period of time. Future period of time: quality, resource utilization, flexibility, and innovation. So the issues related to the quality standards which they are going to maintain, how are they going to allocate their resources? Now, resource utilization, it has to depend on the profitability aspect, or how much profit can each activity generate or each product generate. Accordingly, the resources will be utilized. So, the aspect of resource utilization, flexibility in terms of uh, the services which they are products or services which they are providing it to the customers. Is it based on customization? Is there any flexibility in terms of delivery of the product? Are they taking up the requirements of the customers? is dealing with flexibility. Then we have innovation. Innovation talks about um, what new things are there, what new features are they going to add to their products or services is about innovation. So the performance is based on the 6 dimensions, two of them relating to the past. What is that they have already achieved in terms of how much profit did they generate, and what is their competitiveness as compared to their peers. So what is their past performance and how are they going to perform in the future? There are 4 dimensions there about quality. What quality standards are they going to follow? How are they going to allocate the resources? The flexibility in terms of the products and services and the delivery aspect of it, and the innovation which they're going to take up for the future period of time. Based on this, the standards have to be decided for the employees of the organization. The standards, when they are decided, why are standards decided? There is some way in which the performance can be measured. Now for a student, standards are decided as to, for the student to clear the exam, the student to pass the exam, maybe 40% of the marks have to be scored. Then the student to be called as a first class student, some 60%, 75 for distinction or 80 for distinction. Some standards are decided. Therefore, the student will understand that to be called as a particular category student, he or she have to score these particular marks. If the performance is according to a particular level, then the grading thing or categorizing them according to that becomes easy. Now, for an organization also, standard should be decided. Now, why is 40 marks decided as a standard to pass the exam? It takes into consideration all categories of students, even the students sorry, who perform on an average base also, to facilitate them to clear the exam. Then 40 marks is decided. They have not decided at 60, 70, whatever it is. Some of the professional exams have a passing. What is the passing mark uh, for CIMA exams? What is the pass mark for CIMA exams? 50 marks. Okay. Okay. Some of the exams, some of the professional exams like CPA has 75 marks, CMA has 72 marks as pass marks. Okay. So some professional programs are set at very high standard. 50 is not the regular marks for university exams. 40 is the regular mark. Okay. So it decides about what should be achieved to be called as standard. So now, not now the university exams are not aiming at deciding 50, 60, 70 or something as pass mark. The standards are considering the achievability, practically achievable aspect is considered, because not everybody can achieve 50, 60, 70 marks. So they to accommodate those students who can um, um, study on an average basis, to accommodate them to pass the exam, the pass mark is decided 40. So also for an organization, the standard should not be set at very high level. They should be practically achievable. They should be set at a standard which is at practically achievable level. Otherwise, if it is too ambitious and set at very high targets, if the targets are set are very high, they're practically not possible to achieve them. Then in that case, the employees will not even think of attempting that. If an exam is very difficult, some students do not even venture into writing. Some of them do not even think about writing CAT exam. Why? Because they feel that even if we write also, we will not clear that. Some of the students, because it is not in their purview. It is not in their standard to achieve that. Okay, nothing to degrade anyone, but not everybody is capable of doing everything. So also employees may not be. Now the SWOT analysis talks about understanding the strengths and weaknesses. When weaknesses are understood, accordingly the standards should be decided. What is that they can achieve, what is that they cannot achieve, should be understood. Their standards should be decided. So the achievability is very important. So practically achievability is more important than having ambitious standards, very high level of standards, wherein it is not possible to achieve them. So once they understand the employees' standards, the strengths and weaknesses, then standards should be set accordingly. Then um, once the standards are decided, the employee should feel that ownership. They should understand that they should take up the ownership of those standards. Unless and until they understand that these standards are decided for them, they will not work towards achievement of those strategies. Okay, so the ownership of these standards to be taken up by the employees is very important. Unless and until they take up the ownership of that, it is not possible for them to achieve. Next one talks about equity. Equity talks about um, fairness in terms of deciding the standards, equally, considering the various aspects, equitably or with fairness, these standards should be decided. It should not be biased. It should not be unfair to any particular group. Okay, so the standards when they are decided equally, equitably, with all fairness, these standards should be decided. After that, once the dimensions are decided and the standards are laid down for the employees should be motivated in terms of giving rewards to them. So rewards are dependent on their performance. Then they should take up the standards, they should work towards it and achieve the targets which are decided for them. So if they achieve the targets decided for them, then they are eligible for uh, receiving the rewards. Now, rewards are announced by an organization, and if the rewards are not understood or the tasks are not understood by the employees, then that lacks clarity. The bonus will be given on account of efficiency. But how do you define efficiency? How do you measure efficiency? That is so very unclear. There is a lack of clarity in such a statement. But if the statement says that on selling X number of units or on achieving a turnover of X amount of revenue, then you are entitled for a bonus, is much clearer than rather saying that on efficiency, on completion of a task. But what is the task? That has to be clearly defined. Okay, so at the time of announcing rewards, there should be clarity. Clarity should be there. Fine, and the reward should be in such a way that they feel motivated to work towards achievement of that target. If it is very minimum, it is not motivating the employee will not feel motivated to work towards the achievement of the standard. So motivation. The third aspect is controllability. Controllability talks about the factors which are considered for deciding the rewards should be within the purview of the employee or the unit manager, the SBU manager has the power to control those factors. So the controllable factors should be considered for deciding the rewards. For example, if the manager is evaluated based on the costs which he is incurred. So the costs which are accounted by the manager in the SBU's statement, if the costs are more, then he should not be evaluated on a negative sense, but rather maybe they should look into what are controllable costs, what are uncontrollable costs, or certain decisions which he takes um, um, also include uncontrollable factors. Not all decisions are within the purview of each division manager. There are certain decisions which are taken by the higher ups, by the top level managers. So, if it is not within his purview, if it is not within the purview of a strategic business unit and they are evaluated based on those factors, then that's unfair. So, whether the task which is given to them is within their purview, whether the factors which are considered are within the purview of controllability also should be considered. And if they are evaluated based on factors which are not um, uh, in their purview of controllability, then that would be unfair in terms of rewards which are decided. So this model says that there are three building blocks which should be considered for the measurement of performance. So first six dimensions should be understood. How did what profitability did they achieve? What is their competitiveness? And what are they planning to achieve in future? So the six dimensions should be considered. After that, the standard should be decided for the employees of the organization. Then at the time of deciding these standards, they should understand whether they are practically possible to achieve, and um, the ownership of these standards should be taken up by the employees. And when deciding the standards, there should be all fairness in terms of deciding the standards. Then the reward should have clarity. They should be in such a way that that amount or that reward aspect of it is motivating the employees to achieve the target, and this should be based on controllable factors. Is that clear? Then we have another model which is given by Lynch and Cross performance pyramid. So the performance measurement is given in form of a pyramid by Lynch and Cross. So am I audible? No response. In the form of a pyramid. So at the pinnacle, at the top, we see that the top level management or the strategic level is at the top. What happened? No response at all. Okay. So when it is in a pyramid form, at the top we see that the strategic level is there at the top, and then as it comes down the pyramid, we see that the tactical and the operational levels are there at the uh, as it comes down the pyramid. So at the top, if it is a strategic level, then we should consider. Now you have to remember this in terms of this figure. For the case studies, when you are answering questions based on Lynch and Cross performance pyramid, you have to exactly present it in this particular model. And the contents of the case should be fit into each block. Okay, each block in this pyramid The first block at the top talks about what is the corporate vision. What is the vision of the organization? Uh, for the entire organization, what is the corporate vision is placed at the top level, at the strategic level. Then there are two perspectives which we have to be looking into as it comes down. That is the market and the financial perspective. So what are the financial aspects? What is their objective? What is that they have to achieve in terms of the market and financial aspect has to be looked into. Then the operating systems. And the at the lowest level we have the departments and work centers. So for the market and financial, these are the two perspectives, and they have to work in terms of satisfying the customers, the flexibility and the productivity. Okay, flexibility is the setup time, the time which they have taken to produce the products, okay. The requirement which is taken from the customer's customization and the productivity of the products. So how do they, um, I mean, at what level, what efficiency level do they use to uh, for productivity. Then what quality aspects at the departments and work centers, they have to focus on the quality of the products, the delivery time which they are using to deliver the products to the customers, and the cycle time. Cycle time is how much time do they take to produce the product, that is the cycle time. And the control of wastage part of it. Now this performance pyramid which is given in a pyramid form is aiming at internal and external efficiency. The entire activities of the organization are fit into one pyramid, and at each level they have to focus the specific things. For the entire organization, it is at the top level, wherein the entire organization, what objective, what is the course of action which they are going to take for the entire organization at the top level. At the bottom level, it is the operating levels which are there, so where they are involved in the operation of the organization. So at the operational level, they have to focus on cutting down on the waste, cutting down on the production time, that cycle time, and take up quick deliveries and producing the quality products. I mean, between these two, we see that the planning which takes place for the business units, the strategic business units. So, considering the marketing aspect and financial aspect, they should focus on the customer satisfaction, customization of products and services from the customers, and the productivity. What methods and processes do they adopt for the production of the product. Then we have another model given by Kaplan and Norton, which is called as balance scorecard. Okay, balance scorecard for the measurement of performance. Instead of measuring the performance of the entire organization as a whole, the performance is measured in four different perspectives. So the first one is a financial perspective. This one is a financial perspective. The rest, then another three perspectives are given according to these balance scorecard, BSC. The second one is customer's perspective. The third one is learning and growth perspective. And the fourth one is internal business process perspective. So 2, 3, and 4 are non-financial. Just now we've done non-financial measures. So what come under that? So balance scorecard BSc model has defined what are the non-financial perspectives as customer learning and growth and internal business process. Learning and growth is focusing on the employees part of it. So then the advantages and disadvantages are given. I would like to show you another slide in terms of balance scorecard so that you will have much clearer picture, because we've learned about already CSFs and KPIs earlier in some other unit, but we actually have to connect the CSFs and KPIs to balance scorecard. So just allow me to show you another slide about balance scorecard. Okay, the balance score model has four perspectives. First one is financial perspective, customer, internal business process, learning and growth. So there are four perspectives. So when they are split into four different perspectives, the measurement of performance becomes easy, because what does balance scorecard talks about? It talks about for each perspective, identify what are CSFs. We've already learned about what are CSFs. What are CSFs? CSFs are those vital areas which can help in achieving the objective of the organization. Those are CSFs. But what are KPIs? KPIs are those variables which are used to measure the CSFs. So for um, every CSF, there would be a relative KPI also. What are there are few examples of CSFs and KPIs given in this model. Therefore, I thought you should have a look at that one. So the CSFs under financial perspective here given are: sales is one thing, liquidity, profitability, market value, turnover. These are all factors which we can take under financial perspective. So how do we measure these CSFs? If it is sales, then the other day also you have one of you have mentioned that growth in sales is important. So how do we measure whether their sales are increasing? If profitability, if the profit is increasing, the profit percentage is increasing, and liquidity, what is their availability of cash to make the payment for their liabilities? Okay, Shruti, no problem. Go. Yeah, yeah, please leave. I will finish this and I will end the class. Okay, no, don't worry, no problem. Go. Okay. Um, so we have to measure what is their market value, how are their stocks performing in the stock market. Okay, these things have to be measured. So for every CSF, there is a relative KPI also which should be taken into consideration. So then we understand what is the performance of financial perspective. Similarly, for the non-financial perspectives like customer, internal business process, and learning and growth, there are certain things which are mentioned here. Few examples are there. For customer, we see that market share, customer satisfaction, retention, quality, these things are included. For market share, what are the sales which they have made to the customers? How many customers do they have? Are the customers existing customers, or are there any new customers added to their list of customers? Then are for customer satisfaction, the feedback which is collected is the base for that. What is the satisfaction scores of the customers, and how are their issues addressed? Is there an redressal forum which is available to them? Okay, the quality aspect which they are considering, will it enable the customers to come back for the product, right? If it is internal business process, how are they operating within the organization internally? How is their layout? Is it accident free zone, or are there safety measures which are taken? Do they consider the quality aspect of it, the time which is taken? Okay, productivity, efficiency, quality, safety, process time, brand management, these are all considered under the internal business process. Then how do they measure whether they have reduced the wastage, scrap? Are they minimum amount of variances? If there are any accidents taking place, do they have insurance claims? What is the setup time? Um, Quality terms, are they aiming at producing zero defect products? These are the ways in which it is measured. Then in terms of learning and growth, it is the employees aspect, learning and growth. So the skill development training part of it is should be the focus of the management to train them, to provide the required training for development of their skills. Okay, skill development. Are they motivated in their work? Do they have that empowerment to take decisions? Are they encouraged to produce new products, innovation, and team performance? These are the aspects under learning and growth. For each of them, there should be a KPI in terms of number of new launches, trainees, employee turnover. The attendance at the training also should be counted. Whether training is provided and the employees are availing that training for skill development. Then after that, um, the feedback of the employee should be collected. The performance of the performance of the employees after the training also should be accounted for. So attendance at internal external training seminars, number of suggestions to improve process, positive response to surveys. Okay, this is I thought this would be helpful for you if you look at this one. Okay, let's get back to our PPT. So there are four perspectives. So it helps to now instead of measuring the entire the performance of the entire organization, the organization is split into four perspectives, and each perspective uh, under each perspective the CSFs are considered and the performance is measured. So but all of them should work towards the achievement of the organization objective. So the vision and strategy should be the guiding guidelines, guiding points uh, for each of these perspectives. So they cannot have their own objective in terms of achievement. Their focus should be achievement of the organization objective, right? There are advantages and disadvantages of balanced scorecard. Advantages are avoids over reliance on short term or solely financial measures. So they are not depending only on financial measures because there are non financial perspectives also given importance. Then it identifies problems earlier. Since they are divided into respective perspective, it becomes easy to measure the performance under each perspective. And it says that it identifies problems earlier and links divisional success measures to overall organizational goals. So, af- when they are divided into respective perspective, it is for better achievement of the organization objective. It is not to have another objective set of objectives for that perspective. So they work. Yes, even if they are looked at the respective perspective, they work towards the achievement of the organization objective. So the organizational goals are linked to these perspectives. Then it assists stakeholders in evaluating the organization. There are disadvantages also of the balance scorecard. About once they are divided into these four perspectives, uh, the measurement is considered in according to each perspective. How is the financial perspective doing? How is the customer perspective doing? Can be understood. But balance scorecard cannot talk about the overall performance of the entire organization. That aspect of it is missing here under balance scorecard. So doesn't provide a single overall view of performance. For an organization, how is the organization performing as a whole unit cannot be known. But each perspective, what is the performance can be understood. So it doesn't provide a single overall view of performance. Then no clear link with shareholder analysis. Okay. Measures may conflict often involves a substantial shift in corporate culture. These are the disadvantages of balanced scorecard. So if we are answering a essay question, if we are answering a case study, if a balance scorecard is the tool which they are using, so if that is the situation, then an expected question is, what are the limitations of or drawbacks of balance scorecard? So while we are looking at balance scorecard, we only highlight on the advantages part of it, because it is divided into various perspectives, and measurement becomes easy. But disadvantages, um, the organization as a whole performance cannot be known. Then under each perspective, what CSFs are selected, the number should not be too big or too small that they cannot understand the performance. The person who's preparing the balance scorecard may be knowledgeable, but the one who's analyzing that may not be knowledgeable. Therefore, there may be a mismatch of understanding of what are the CSFs and under each perspective. So these are in general we can talk about what are the disadvantages of balance scorecard. Therefore, we can talk about these are disadvantages. There is no clear link with shareholder analysis. Shareholder analysis is focusing on maximization of shareholders' wealth, but not all perspectives are aiming at maximizing the shareholders' wealth. So, quality, efficiency, customer satisfaction. Okay, not all of them are aimed towards shareholder wealth maximization. Then the measures may conflict, okay, because they are divided into four perspectives. How they are measured, there may be conflicting result, often involves a substantial shift in corporate culture. It's a new model which is accepted, so there may be a cultural shift, substantial shift in the corporate culture. Okay, these are the disadvantages of balance scorecard. Right? We'll continue in tomorrow's class looking at what are the other aspects of it. Okay, so maybe this and another unit also will finish it in change management also. Maybe we can finish it in tomorrow's class. I mean, tomorrow is Monday's class. Um, as soon as I finish the uh, contents which are there in that, whatever you have asked me to look at the cases which are there on the site, I will take it up and then we'll do it. Right? Any doubts? Okay. Then we'll wind up here. Um,